comments?
No.
Okay. There are no board president comments. So we will next turn to staff reports. Mary Ellen, turn it over to you.
I'll keep my comments brief tonight as we have Kathy Kibler from Jackson with us, but I just wanted to share with all of you, we have our new Explore Guide out. It hit the mailboxes last week. It's been over a year since we put together the full guide. So this is a big accomplishment for us in the pandemic. So it's a quarterly publication like people were used to getting before COVID, and has a lot of nice articles in here on library services and the programming that we're ramping up again. We're also starting our summer reading program, Tales and Tales, in June, and we actually have 127 people pre-registered for it based on seeing it in the guide since last week. So I thought that was great. The other thing I wanted to mention to you all, I shared with you about the grant project from the Sisters of Charity, and our staff has been very busy working on those kits. We have 1,000 kits assembled and ready to go out to the school children in Canton City before the last day of school. So our meeting room upstairs is full of these learning kits. So I think that's terrific. Does anybody have any questions for me about my report or any of the information I shared?
Was 1,000 the goal?
Yes.
Well, initial, right?
Yes.
More coming. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Chris, we'll turn it over to you.
Okay. So just a brief financial overview. It's a fairly normal month again. So far through the year, our general fund, we have about $8,450,000 in revenue. About 3/4 of that is from the property tax levy, which is coming in on target. And then the other quarter is basically the PLF, and then we have a handful of donations and miscellaneous items included in there. That's for the general fund. All funds total revenue is $8,721,000. So we have about $300,000 that came in throughout the other funds. Most of that is the debt service funds, which would be the remainder of our PLF. So some of our PLF gets deposited directly into debt service funds, while some of it goes into the general fund. As far as expenses, through the end of April, we had just a little over $5 million of expenses in the general fund. Which again is pretty much on target. So everything's pretty well on target as far as revenues and expenses. Just a quick update on the PLF. Through April, we were over every single month from the budgeted amount. However, we received the May payment late last week, and it was actually under the estimated PLF amount. However, if you guys remember at the last board meeting, I hinted that I thought it might be below because of the extension of the tax deadline. So that is, we believe, is the reason. OLC also believes is the reason why we're under budget for May. And OLC and I also believe that in June and probably July, we'll see it a little bit further above than what it normally was. So we'll probably make that difference back up. Through the year, we are 5.66% over our expected PLF amount, and we've currently received $3,192,000 this year for the PLF. Unless there's any questions, that concludes my report.
And do you have a question? Thank you, Chris, very much for your report. I believe we're turning it over to Kathy Kibler, Jackson Branch Manager. Kathy, it's all yours. The floor is yours.
Give me 1 second, Kathy, and I'll have your slides up.
Kathy.
Sorry about that. All right. First, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak today. The timing is ideal, as exactly 1 year ago today, May 18th of 2020, that was supposed to be Jackson's first day open to the public. And as we all know, 2020 didn't go quite as we planned, so we're just kind of skipped over that. But New Jackson did open, maybe not with all the fanfare, but we opened. We're out of the storefront in our beautiful new library, and our patrons and staff are delighted. And I have some highlights, and if I could have the next slide, please. Our drive up is open and it's very, very popular. Patrons miss the drive up services and we're in the storefront. They're taking advantage of all the convenience now. And we're averaging at least 100 drive up visits a week. And the drive up is also a really great way for us to distribute the COVID test kits. And as of this morning, we've given out over 172 kits. Our study rooms are open and they're being booked by tutors, patrons working from home who need a little peace and quiet, and students. I'm always amazed by the number of students who kind of come to the branch during their free period to take advantage of our Wi-Fi and study rooms. We have two teams who are pretty much regulars, and when we're in phase 3, they were so polite. They would leave after their hour was over and thank us. And then once we went into phase 4, and we told them that they could stay in the meeting room until their projects were finished, as long as no one else requested the meeting room, they were really happy about that. Our lockers, as you can see, are beautiful, bright, and colorful. They're gaining in popularity. We'll soon open the lobby 24/7, and I think the locker usage will increase dramatically then. We were able to close off half of the meeting room, so we were a voting location for the May 4th election. We're beginning the process for passport services, and our notary is very busy. We had 14 appointments last month alone. Some of the staff were busy with recorded and doing virtual story times and book talks, and we had a story walk that began at the library and went round through the park. And speaking of staffing, that's been interesting. We had 2 staff members who were transferred from mobile services, and they were temporarily assigned to Jackson, and they had to learn branch life and all the new service points. It was a pretty steep learning curve, but they were both great, and we learned a lot from them. We're sad to have them leave, as one is retiring and the other one went back to mobile services on Monday. She's delighted to be back in mobile services, but we'll really miss her. As life gets back to close to normal and people are feeling more comfortable, we're having more patrons visiting the branch for the first time. They're commenting on all the bright colors, the displays, the quotes. There's always something new wherever they look, but it doesn't seem to matter. Once they look at the inside, then they look out the windows and they see the amphitheater. And we had so many programs planned there last summer that never happened, but luckily this summer is going to be very different. And I have a picture of the amphitheater on the next slide. The township really wants the amphitheater to be used. They met with my children's librarian and myself and said that anything we wanted to do in the amphitheater, we were welcome to, as long as nothing else was booked. So Terry is going to be offering family story times at the amphitheater starting on Thursday down in the grassy area. She'll have one at 11 and one at 3 o'clock, and we cannot wait for this. Thursdays are going to kind of be party days, I think, at the North Park, because they are planning food trucks, our family story times at 11 and 3, recorded or live music at 5, and they're bringing back the farmers market later on this summer. Needless to say, we are delighted to be part of the park festivities, and we're telling our patrons all about it. Communications is making signs for us to put up and a feather flag so that anyone who's walking through the park will know that the story time is a Stark Library presentation or program. So stories at the amphitheater is just a very first beginning. Next is going to be my book discussion group, and we hope to keep having more and more programs at the amphitheater because it's the perfect location. And like I said, we're getting closer to normal and our patrons are happy with that. I'm going to leave you with one of my favorite stories. A patron who hadn't been in for a while returned, and she discovered that we had newspapers. She'd been a regular at the storefront. She came in to read the paper every day and make copies of the crossword puzzle. So yesterday when she was in, she realized we had newspapers again. I think she told every staff member that she saw how happy she was to have the newspapers again. It's a small thing, but to her, it was really important. She could come in, she could get the newspaper, and this was even a bigger thing. To sign a normal, but even better, because now she could read the newspaper, but she could also get her copy of the crossword puzzle for free. She thought that was just the best thing ever. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy, for such a wonderful presentation. Any questions by anyone? Thank you very much. We will move to the consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. The motion passes. Going to the Building and Grounds Committee report. Is there any report there?
No.
Okay. Any Human Resources Committee report?
No.
Okay.
No.
Next, Finance and Audit Committee reports. Chris, are you handling this or?
Yeah, sure. So we have no report, but there are two resolutions on the agenda. The first resolution is on page 14. It's appropriations to the Sisters of Charity Fund 228. So Mary Ellen mentioned the program that we're running thanks to the grant from the Sisters of Charity for $89,000. This was something we didn't have budgeted for at the beginning of the year. So this the money has come in. We received the check on May 1st. So we would like to appropriate those funds. So again, this is just appropriating $89,000 to be spent out of supplies out of the Sisters of Charity Fund 228. It's not on this resolution, but that $89,000 is going to be further broken down. About $87,000 is going to be spent on the actual kits that we're sending out. And then there's about $2,000 that's going to be spent on prizes. So the vast majority of the funds are going to actually be spent on the actual activities and different kits that we're preparing. And Mary Ellen, I don't know if you have anything else to add, but.
I do not.
Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 21?
So moved.
A second? Edmund?
Second. That's the first second I've ever made in my whole entire time on the board.
I forced you to do it.
But I'll do it. You're the president pro tem. Do what you
Any
say.
discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 I don't know if
Opposed,
it's
same
appropriate,
sign.
Susan, if I should abstain because CNA is a recipient of it's going to be recipients of some of the kits. I mean, I obviously approve it and have no issue with it, but.
But if
I
you
don't know.
abstain, I don't have enough to carry the vote.
Okay, then I'm fine. I just wanted to make sure, then let's note that we're one of the recipients.
No, I appreciate that. So with that disclaimer, I think we move forward. Are you comfortable with that, Chris and Mary Ellen?
I don't think it's not tax funded. It's a donation.
It's a donation. Okay, all right.
There's a
Fair
conflict.
enough. Like I said, I just wanted to make sure that was, and that's the only reason I didn't second Edmund.
No, I figured
is
something
over.
was awry. Hey, but I appreciate you disclosing that, Joe. Absolutely.
Yes, I do. Thank you very much, Joe. So those opposed, same sign, nothing, the motion carries. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we have another resolution for you in regard to the printing and copying table of charges fees. And this was a recommendation that we brought to the Finance Committee. So Sally, Robin, and Steve reviewed it a couple of weeks ago. But here's the background information on it. Right now, we have a temporary board resolution that goes through June 30th, waiving all copying and printing fees under $3. And this has been very, very well received by our patrons during the pandemic, and it's served an important need for them. We did some research and we found out that other metro libraries are doing the same in their system. Cincinnati, Cuyahoga, and Toledo all allow free printing on a daily basis. The average threshold for free printing is about $1 to $1.50, and it resets on a daily basis for the patrons. The business services at our system, the copying, printing, and faxing, they're very high demand services. And just like with our public computer usage, the patrons are using these services to print their resumes and cover letters and apply for jobs and oftentimes government services. So if we remove these fees, it will allow us to serve some of our most needy patrons who don't have the technology at home. And this will allow them to access the printing and copying services here. In my mind, it's an equity issue, much in the same way that overdue fines remove barriers for those who are using library materials. So the fees collected from printing and copying, they actually account for a very, very small portion of our revenue. And Chris had done some research on this to show that our library budget could handle this this loss of revenue, and it won't significantly impact library operations. So we are recommending that the table of charges permanently be changed, that all fees under $1.50 would be waived and reset on a daily basis. And Sally, I don't know if you want to say any more because the
No,
balance committee
I thought
looked at it.
I was pleased that you gave us so much background information, though. Based on what you have found out, I think it's the right thing to do.
And Steve and Robin had also agreed with that. Does anybody have any questions?
Okay. Hearing no questions.
I'm sorry, I do. I was looking in the packet. I don't see, what is it that we're actually losing, just in a quantitative way?
Sure, Joe. So our average printing for the last 5 years, we've collected about $57,000. If we went with the $1.50 limit that's proposed here in the resolution, we would lose about 37,000 of that. So we would still collect 20,000. Again, it's not a completely insignificant number, but it's definitely small enough that it will not impact the operations of the library whatsoever. So it'd be about $37,000 is what we would lose out on revenue.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Moving on down the agenda. Is there any new business?
No.
No.
Okay. Then I would ask for a motion to adjourn. Do I have a said motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion